All right. Hello, everyone. This is Jennifer Wilson, your guide here at Simple Scrapper, and I'm so excited to be joining you for another episode of Simple Scrapper Live. This week, we have a very special topic, ideas for vacation scrapbooking. I know how challenging it is to get all of those beautiful photos from your trips and big adventures into albums because there's just so many of them. So today I'm going to share some of my guideposts for vacation scrapbooking, as well as some different examples of ways that you can simplify the process so that the whole thing is more doable and more fun for you. All right, so we can see I have a split screen here today. The first thing I'm going to do is, for those of you who are watching live on Crowdcast, I want to point you to two areas. One is the share button, and that's towards the right-hand side. And that's where you can share that we're live on Facebook or Twitter or any of your favorite social media channels so that others can join us here live. We're here every week at 1 p.m. For this free mini training session. And then also, I want to draw your attention to the big red button. And that is where you can submit questions for me to answer live here on this broadcast. And then, of course, over on the right is where you can chat with your fellow participants. If you are watching us on YouTube or on Facebook, then I want to encourage you to come over and join us for the live discussion here on Crowdcast. That's where the action is happening. All right. So what are the three guideposts of vacation scrapbooking? These are the fundamentals that I want you to remember as you're trying to figure out how you want to document your next big trip or adventure. The first one is that you have to cherry pick your photos. You can't scrapbook at all. You can't possibly use every single photo that you took on a trip, and I need you to really embrace that and let go of it. But even if you're already partway there, I need you to also remember that it's not just about narrowing it down a little. Often it's narrowing it down a lot and choosing photos that really represent the trip rather than trying to be comprehensive. And that's how I like to approach my scrapbooking in general, but even more so when it comes to vacation scrapbooking. So what I'm often looking for are kind of scenery or context shots, bigger picture, so I know where we are or where we were. I'm looking for personal interaction shots so I can see who was involved and how they were relating with each other and what they were doing. And then I'm also looking for more detail shots, such as somebody's hands doing something, a particular flower or something that we saw. So it's providing multiple scales that give you that sense of being there without having to include every single photo. This is probably one of the most fundamental concepts of creating a vacation scrapbook that is not only enjoyable to actually work on, but something that you can actually complete. Because I see so many scrapbookers become overwhelmed when you're trying to narrow down that huge number of photos. All right, the next one is to find your perfect fit. And that's really going to be the subject of today's presentation, is that there's multiple ways that you could document a vacation. And more than multiple, there's an endless array because you get to personalize it based on what really fills you up, what's creatively exciting to you right now, and what's also going to be practical and doable for you. And so I'm going to share some different examples of ways that I've documented vacations and trips and adventures so that you can get some ideas on how you can personalize your own project. If you're used to maybe traditional scrapbooking creating layouts, you may be accustomed to creating multiple layouts about a trip. And that's just one way that you can approach scrapbooking a vacation. And I'm going to share some other ones that can make things a little bit simpler. And then, of course, the third one is to know your priorities. That's one of our biggest things here at Simple Scrapper, is that you need to be thinking about, if I'm going to scrapbook this vacation, how does that fit into my entire project repertoire right now? How does that fit into all the other things that I'm working on? When am I actually going to do this? And if you have a lot of other things already in motion, then maybe you have to decide one or two of those is going to go on the back burner. Or maybe you're going to decide, yes, I want to create an album about this trip, but I'm going to wait till the fall. I'm going to focus on making my memories and working on the projects I've already got going, and then I'll start this project later. It's all about knowing what can fit on your plate right now, and then if you do start something new, like a summer vacation album, that plate's still the same size and you have to do a little bit of shuffling. All right. So this series, Simple Scrapper Live, is sponsored by the Simple Scrapper membership. And I just want to take 1 second here to share a little bit about that with you guys. If you are joining us on Crowdcast, there's a button right below the screen that says sponsored by the membership, and that takes you actually directly to information about it. And that page looks like this. It's a whole long page. This is just the top of it that describes what you get with a membership, the benefits, and most importantly, really why it's different than everything else. Our Simple Scrapper membership is fundamentally a community of women who are supporting each other, keeping each other accountable, and encouraging one another to set your own priorities and to follow through with them. We have a lot of different tools and resources and classes that all lead back to that, but it's really the community of women there together that lean on each other, rely on each other, and keep nudging each other forward that makes it really work. And we've had this membership program since 2011, and it's one of the things that I'm most proud of at Simple Scrapper. This is what you see when you log in. This is our current dashboard area, and at the top here, there's always a slider that shows what are some of the new content pieces. Every single month, we have a beautiful PDF magazine full of examples from our creative team and how they have used our new sketches, templates, and story starters. And those are our storytelling prompts. And of course, there's additional exclusive articles in there as well. So here's the link. I won't spend too much time on this. If you are interested, Simple Scrapper membership, you just go to simplescrapper.com/join and you can learn more and hopefully sign up. I'm sure we have a variety of members here today, and if you have questions for them or myself, you can pop over into the chat and ask those there. So today we're going to focus on finding your perfect fit project approach for your summer vacation album. And kind of going back to this idea of a perfect fit, I think of it always like a Venn diagram. You have all the things over here that are exciting you creatively, that are new products you want to work with, new formats you want to try, or maybe an old format you want to use again because you know it works so well. And then over here, you have what's reality for you. You have the amount of time you have the amount of energy, you have what's practical and real for you. And in order to have a perfect fit project that's going to be completed, you have to be operating at that intersection where that Venn diagram overlaps. Because when you do that, you're going to make smarter decisions that are both fun and simple. All right, let's dive in here. So first off, of course, we have traditional layouts. Now, I don't think I've done an entire album that's just about a vacation with just layouts. And partially that's because I've always approached this with a simpler fashion. But I know that's kind of the more traditional way to do it, and I've seen albums from others. But there's other ways beyond just the album of layouts that you can incorporate a trip into your regular album. So here's a layout I created about a recent trip to Texas. I included just 4 photos from different restaurants that we went to, and my journaling is focused on my feelings about the place. Now, I had a couple other layouts related to things we did, but these went into my annual album as just a signifier of what happened and were really part of our journey of the year. And that's how I approached this particular trip. You can also continue to create layouts for an entire album as well. And layouts are just one thing that you can do, but then of course there's permutations like this one among them. All right, just a second. Making sure everything's working here. Looks like everything's okay. All right, so next we have pocket page inserts. Now there's 2 ways of looking at this. You can incorporate your trip into your Project Life album, whether you do that weekly or monthly, and using that traditional format, you could fill just a couple pockets, you can fill a whole spread, you can fill multiple spreads. You can also create inserts, which are often different sized pocket pages that go inside of your album. This one's actually a 6x8 insert, and this is also an example that I'll share later of a photo collage. This one just happens to be pockets. For some trips that I've taken, they were maybe a short little thing, a weekend adventure, and I didn't really feel the need to do more than take my very best photos, print them out, stick them in pockets, and feel like this encompasses what the experience was to me, and I'm good with that. So this was the simplest approach that was best for me at this time. Now your pocket pages can include lots of journaling, they can include products. This example here also doesn't include any scrapbook supplies. It's literally just photos. And so there's that range from ultra minimalist to more decorated, more complicated, but including an insert inside of your album is another way to bring a vacation into your annual album. All right, next we have photo books. And I would say photo books are one of my absolute favorite approaches for scrapbooking a vacation, particularly those big trips where you have hundreds, if not sometimes even thousands of photos. Because a photo book kind of takes the complexities of scrapbook design out of the equation. Sure, there's ways that you can spiff it up with embellishments and services like Shutterfly make that easy. But I think the beauty here is relying on your photos and your words to tell the story. And the more additional decisions you can take out of the picture, the easier it is to get it done. And so for my biggest things, I've definitely relied on photo books to do that. And this is one from we went to a road trip to Montana. It was a big week and a half trip. We took tons and tons of photos, and you can see here I even included photo collages within the book so that I could get more of those pictures in there. All right, another option is an ongoing album. And this is an album where I have pockets that include memorabilia. I have pockets for photos and supplies, and this is 8.5 by 11. And then I also have 8.5 by 11 layouts in here as well. And this is an album that I keep for each trip that we take to Michigan. I actually grew up in Southwest Michigan until I was 9 when we moved to Texas. And we've taken several summer vacations up there, and all of those memories go back into this album because it's special to me in that way. And one year I actually chose to do a spin-off, kind of an additional thing and beyond the parts of this album. And I actually created a mixed paper mini book as well. And so this was in 2012. The size of this is only about 3.5 by 5. And some of you have seen this before. I took all of my spare pattern paper and some tags and various little things, and I sewed it all together prior to the trip and took it with me. And I actually scrapbooked kind of on the go. I brought a portable printer, and so all I had was my printer, a pen, and some washi tape. And it was amazing all the different clever ideas you can come up with when you're limited in supplies. I actually used the washi tape to adhere in some postcards. I think I also brought my stapler as well. But it was a fun little thing to do on the fly, and then I still had some of the longer memories documented in the ongoing album. All right. My last example here is a photo collage, and this is kind of similar to that Las Vegas pocket page. This is a 6 by 12 page that fit into my 2014 album, and I created a photo collage. It's front and back to be an insert in the album. And like that one, I chose not to have a lot of journaling because I didn't feel like there was a lot to say. But that doesn't mean you couldn't have one page of a photo collage and a full page of journaling on the back. It just depends on what works best for you. So that's a high-level overview of these different options. I've got a blog post started that I will finish up today with the embed of this video, so that you can see additional images of these projects, and I'll have a few additional thoughts about the pros and cons of each, because it's up to you to figure out from all of these options which one's going to be the best match for the vacation that you're taking, whether it's a weekend trip or a big European adventure. All right, I am going to, I guess while we're here, I wanted to tell you that next week's Simple Scrapper Live is on staying creative away from home. I will actually be away from home myself, and so I'll be sharing some of my favorite tips on how I keep my memories and stay present and keep that creative flow going when I am traveling. But I'm going to turn off the screen share for now, if I can figure out how to do that right here. And I'm going to turn over to, let's see here. There we go. I'm going to check on the question area and your discussion and see what is going on. All right. So I'm going to start answering Mary Beth's question. And she says, I struggle with which photos to use as you find a story with any of them. How to pick the story and the photo. All right. So, and I guess I would approach this differently for a regular layout than I would for a vacation. So for my vacation, I'm often thinking about what are the stories that I want to tell? What are kind of some of the themes? So for that Montana road trip, the big theme for us was this was our first adventure as a blended family. My stepsons at the time were 13 and 17, and it was really about that relationship that was the story that I was telling through the words that I used. Now, I could have used different words with the same photos and talked primarily about what we did, which those details were in there, but the underlying story that I brought out again and again was about that relationship. And so to me, it's about making that decision about what is the one story or the different story threads that you want to include in the album. All right, let's do the next question here. So this is Natalie's question, and she says, I struggle with getting the balance right between showcasing great vacation photos and telling the stories, documenting the trip, and including ephemera. It's much easier to isolate to a double-page spread sometimes. However, I'd like a trip album to feel cohesive and have great flow. What do you suggest to juggle or balance these competing priorities, especially when the trip can sometimes include multiple days and destinations? All right. So I guess the first thing is about the great photos. And sometimes the great photos are the ones that maybe don't have as much meaning to them. And I will say that I tend to use a heavy mix of primarily the best photos, because those are the ones I want to look at. Those are the ones I want to celebrate the most, with supplementary photos that maybe tell more of the story, even if they aren't great ones. But because those great photos kind of represent what was happening, I will then extend that with the words that I include, you know, any kind of design that I'm incorporating that kind of themes the stories, and including the memorabilia in the album as well. And I think this is also where creating a timeline of your trip, that can help as well to make sure that even though you're only including a select number of photos, it's really clear what happened from day to day. You can even do like, here's the day one itinerary, especially if you're doing a pocket page album, to have one card that's just about, here's the things that we did today. And then you have other things that round out that story. I would agree that it's sometimes easier to even narrow it down a lot, but then you still kind of want the bigger picture story. I would say in terms of cohesion and flow, the photo books are going to be the fastest and most streamlined route to get there, but that's not always the most creatively fulfilling for some people. And so when it comes to another album, I would remember that your photos, your handwriting, if you're including it, your style choices, even if your album includes layouts, pocket pages, memorabilia, it's kind of a really mixed album. All those things that are personal to you are what's going to give it a lot of cohesion and flow. And sometimes it's hard to see that for yourself, but I think when others look at it, they're going to sense that this is you and this is how you assembled that album. So I wouldn't dwell on that too much. So I hope that's helpful for you, Natalie. You've raised some of the biggest points on why it's such a big challenge to work on these vacation albums, particularly the really big ones. All right. So it looks like we're having, some challenges today. Hopefully everything worked out so well. If not, I will completely redo this at another time, but hopefully everything worked well for everyone. And I so appreciate you joining me here today. Again, our next Simple Scrapper Live will be next Wednesday at 1 p.m. Central. And if you are not a member yet, I'd like to encourage you to check that out at simplescrapper.com/join. You guys have a great week. Bye-bye.